in this video we will discuss about the acquired immunity but active. In the previous video we discussed about the acquired immunity passive. What was the difference between the passive and active, that we will be discussing. Okay, if we talk about the passive, so we were giving the ready-made antibodies, okay, from the inserting, and there was the antibodies like immunoglobulin was there, and we were having the types of immunoglobulin too. So we were giving the antibodies to from the mother to the child too, and we have discussed the we are having the diseases and we are giving the antibodies to, like tetanus were there, antivenom was there. So what is the difference between the active and passive? In active they are the ready-made antibodies is there. If we talk about the active, so in active we are having the that the immune system is basically producing the own cells which basically work against the pathogen. Okay, so that is the our own body produce antibodies, okay, that help in the immune system. Okay, for example, B lymphocytes is there. B lymphocyte, as you guys all know, that basically work against the pathogen. They basically kill them. So these are what? These are the things which is our body is producing. Okay, we are not giving by the injections and these all. This is present naturally, and our body is producing that. But if we talk about the passive, so there were the ready-made antibodies that we were giving. Okay, yeah, but one was there that immunoglobulin and these were, so these were basically from mother to the child, so they were naturally. But if you talk about this, so this is our body is producing. That's the difference between the active and the passive. And next example, we are having the T lymphocytes. This is also the type of the T lymphocyte. Basically check that if there is any kind of pathogen, so they give message to the B lymphocyte to produce the antibodies and to kill the pathogen. Okay, if we talk about the T lymphocytes basically give message to the T helper cell too. Okay, if we talk about the T helper cells, so they basically help B lymphocytes to produce antibody. Okay, it is also in the innate too, we are having the cells, but here in active we are also having the cells. This is the thing which is our body is producing. One, we are having the vaccination, but vaccination we are not, our body is producing. Okay, vaccination we are giving the vaccination by the weak cells or any kind of a dead cells in our body we are having. Okay, so we are basically inserting into the body to produce the antibody, inserting into the body to produce the antibody. Okay, likewise if we talk about the active, so active is basically, for example, our body produce the natural antibody, then the disease cannot occur. For example, measles is there, chicken pox is there, very common example. So if we talk about the chicken pox, so they basically occur one time to a body, but sometimes it is occurring 2 or 3 times. But mostly in cases we are having seen that chicken pox is occurring only one time. Why? Because our body is producing the natural antibody and the diseases cannot occur again. Okay, so they are only occur one time. So likewise, after developing the antibody, we are having the encounters. What is encounter? We are having the encounter 1. What is the encounter? Encounter is basically the effect. What is the effect after the antibody? Okay, for example, the effect if you talk about, so that is very mild, which means they is not weak and that is not strong. For example, like fever after vaccination or after the antibodies we are giving to the bodies and the antibody is producing, so these are what, so the body basically fight against that pathogen. But we are having the fever too, like fever is there after the result. Okay, so we are having the fever, Like for example, we were having the COVID-19 vaccine, so from that we were getting the fever. Just what we, the symptom was that our the vaccine is basically working against the pathogen. So this was the symptom. That was good, that the result was there, that the body is basically working against the pathogen. So there is the effect to our body. Likewise, these cells are working in our body if the pathogen is there. So we are, sometimes we are getting the fever, flu, and these all. So these are the symptoms. So the symptoms, so the effect we are getting from, to that we are calling as the encounter. So we were encounter one. Okay, one more thing I want to tell you guys, that after result we are having the memory cells. Okay, the memory cells occur which basically collect or store the information if the invader is there. Okay, next we are having the encounter 2. What's the work of the encounter 2? Encounter 2 basically starts, that will be harmful. Okay, that will be harmful. Why? Because the body is basically producing the more antibody to kill the pathogen. Okay, for example, high temperature is there. Okay, so that will be harmful because the body is producing more and more antibodies to kill the pathogen. So that is little bit harmful. So that is the encounter 2. Just because the memory cells will basically store the information if the invader is there. Okay, so in the first time we injured the dead cells by the vaccination for the prevention of the, like, what is the vaccination we are giving, like if there is no disease, we are giving the vaccination before the disease. Okay, so that vaccination is basically changing the internal environment. So that is the prevention from the disease. So that's why we are using the vaccines. Likewise, we are having the encounter 1 and encounter 2. So for example, we have given the vaccine and these all. So from that we are getting the antibodies, and the antibodies is basically fighting against the pathogen. So that is good for our body. So this was the acquired immunity which the body is producing. Likewise, these cells is there. But if we talk about the vaccination, so this is we are giving by the by by inserting, okay, by the injection and these all, because if the causative organism is there. So this is the prevention. Okay, so this was about the acquired immunity, which is active acquired immunity, and that is non-specific. And that is basically occurred after the birth. Okay,